What other mystery elements do you like to add when you're going through your editing process, Peter?
Mystery.
Yes.
So back to mystery. Red herrings, I think, and well, I think there's not so much one and the same, but also clues, and that's why I say sort of for mystery, it's out of the three probably the most important to know the ending and know how the story is going to unfold. Because when you're going back through the editing process and you really want a payoff in a particular chapter to have the resonance that you want, you need to go back and plant the clues. Perhaps you want to, introduce the culprit early on in the story. I know in the first Harry Potter, you meet Professor Quirrell, the bad guy. Spoiler. If you've not read Harry Potter, then
what?
Don't listen to the show. We don't want you. I'm only joking. Keep listening. Yeah, you meet him really early on, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think things like that, if you got to sort of like the last chapter and at the beginning of that chapter, a new character was introduced and then you found out that they were the villain, that'd be really disappointing. You sort of want to have had them on the periphery throughout the whole thing. And there's been clues, there's been red herrings, maybe you thought it was someone else. And, if you can do this in the writing process, great. But these are things to really be refined in the editing process that help build mystery.
Yeah, that is an excellent example. I think those is like the Scooby Doo ending. They pull the mask off of the character. Because as a kid you're watching these shows and there are some clues, but there is absolutely no way to put it together, and you want it.
It's always the guy in the suit of armor.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder why, like the governments don't get involved and hire these bad guys to create these amazing tech. It's I'm always blown away with the ability of these villains in Scooby Doo. But seriously, though, with Scooby Doo endings, you've got to be able to look back at your work and yes, have the red herrings, have things thrown off. But when you're the reader and you look back, you're like, oh yeah, that is really the only way that this could have happened. Why didn't I see it back there?
Yeah. It's like, I think we've said this before, it's believable, but surprising, but inevitable.
Yes, surprising but inevitable. That the choices that are made, we do give characters choices, but at the end, really honestly, there really was only one choice that could be made throughout the book. Another thought with this, like Peter was saying, coming to that last chapter and having a character introduced and having it thrown out, that is not a good plot twist. That is such poor writing. And you don't want to have, what's that?
And editing.
and on the same token, you don't want to have a narrator that lies to the audience, to the readership. Because when you get to the end and you're like, oh, it was just a lie. Like they just deliberately pointed me towards these lies. So that's where you have to be very careful with this, and I don't know if we've ever talked about the different types of narrators, the honest, the biased, and the lying narrator. But that lying narrator is so difficult to use with mystery because if you've lied throughout the entire thing and we don't know that we have a lying narrator, then we really feel disappointed at the end. And even if you've identified early on that your narrator does lie, it can still, it'll just leave them questioning so much all the way through. So it's dangerous. If you want to take it as a challenge to make a great one, take it. But think about it. Think about it before you use that as a technique.
Yeah, it can be useful, but yeah, it's a really tough one to do. I think over here we say the unreliable narrator. So, for example, if it was a person that was in the story, say there's a framing story and someone's sort of telling something that had happened, so then it goes back and then tells the story, and this person who's narrating the story was part of the story, then you could almost class that as unreliable or a lying narrator, because you're just getting their side of it. It's not this omniscient, godlike, Tolkien-esque, I know everything that's going on and I'm giving you just the whole truth, like Morgan Freeman voice. It's someone that was there, and they might have a motive in the story that they're telling. Powerful things, but yeah, very tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is not supposed to be about narrators, but I'll say one more thing about narrators. We'll move on to tension. The first person is always a biased narrator at the very least. That first person narration, because it's all told from that person's point of view. So just like Peter's saying, that person's going to come, they're going to be unreliable. And so, but they can't lie. That's what I'm just trying to get at, is you don't want to have it be a lie, that you can put stuff out there that makes them question. You can point them in the wrong directions, but to straight out lie to your reader and then tell them it was something else at the end, it's just dangerous. So
instead of the cliched, and then it was all a dream, then it was all one big lie.
Yes, because that is who shot JR. No. So
thank you for listening, and come back next week for more. Please visit thebookeditorshow.com for show notes, links to guests, books and extras, and for information on how to be a guest on the show.